Hey everyone, and welcome back to RookieDev. I'm Rook, and today we're tackling a critical part of game design: combat mechanics. Combat is one of the most fundamental aspects of a game. It's where players interact with the world, test their skills, and experience that sweet sense of progression. But designing combat isn't as simple as throwing punches or shooting bullets. There's a lot that goes into making combat feel satisfying, meaningful, and fun. Well, that's exactly what we're going to break down today. We'll look at the core principles of combat design, dive into different types of combat systems, and discuss how to make them feel impactful. I'll also share some tips on what makes combat mechanics good versus bad and how to avoid common pitfalls. So grab your sword, your guns, or your magical staff. Let's get into it. First things first, let's talk about the core elements of combat mechanics. Combat mechanics are the systems that govern how combat works in your game. They include things like movement, attack inputs, feedback loops, and the pacing of encounters. Whether you're designing a hack and slash, a turn-based RPG, or a strategy game with combat, these elements will always come into play. Good combat mechanics are intuitive but deep. They should be easy to pick up but hard to master. For example, in Dark Souls, the basic combat is simple. You have light attacks, heavy attacks, and a dodge roll. But mastering the timing, stamina management, and enemy patterns is where the depth comes in. On the flip side, bad combat mechanics are often clunky, unresponsive, or overly complicated. If players feel like they're fighting the controls instead of the enemies, you've got a problem. Now, let's break down some key combat systems you might design for your game. First, we have action combat. This type of system is fast, fluid, and reactive. Players are directly in control of their characters' actions, timing, and positioning. Think of games like Devil May Cry or Bayonetta, where combat revolves around quick combos, dodges, and constant movement. The goal is to keep players on their toes and allow them execute smooth, dynamic actions. When designing action combat, responsiveness is key. Players need to feel like their inputs are being executed instantly. If there's even a slight delay between pressing a button and seeing the action on screen, it can break immersion and frustrate players. Good action combat also gives players a variety of tools to express themselves, different weapons, combos, and abilities that let them approach fights in their own style. On the other hand, bad action combat often feels repetitive or shallow. If every fight boils down to mashing the same button over and over, players will lose interest quickly. Variety and depth are essential. On the other end of the spectrum, we have tactical combat. This system is more strategic, often pausing or slowing down time to allow players to plan their moves carefully. You might think of games like XCOM, Fire Emblem, or Divinity. These games give players more time to think, giving them space to make decisions based on positioning, enemy abilities, and resources. Good tactical combat is all about meaningful choices. Every decision should feel impactful, whether it's moving to a specific tile, using a limited resource, or targeting a specific enemy. Bad tactical combat, on the other hand, can feel overly slow or tedious. If players are spending more time waiting than making decisions, you've lost them. Next up, player feedback. Feedback is crucial to making combat feel satisfying. This can be visual, audio, or even through the haptic response of the controller. Let's break it down. Visual feedback helps players understand the results of their actions. Did the attack land? Did you block in time? Are you being hit by an enemy? All of these should be instantly clear. In God of War, every attack has a distinct visual cue. A sword swipe might spark with energy, or a heavy attack may knock enemies back with a satisfying thud. This feedback makes combat feel more immediate and rewarding. Bad visual feedback, on the other hand, can leave player confused. If an attack or animation doesn't clearly show whether it hit or missed. Players will feel disconnected from the action. Sound design plays a huge role in combat. Think about the satisfying sound of landing a critical hit or the intense rumble of a character getting knocked down. Good audio feedback enhances the weight and impact of combat. Bad audio feedback, like repetitive or mismatched sound effects, can break immersion and make combat feel flat. Now that we've covered the core systems and feedback, let's talk about combat pacing. Pacing is about how the flow of combat feels. Is it a non-stop action experience, or do you have moments of tension and release? Games like Doom keep the combat flowing at high speed, while something like Dark Souls adds breaks in the action, making each encounter feel weighty. Understanding pacing helps in making combat feel engaging without overwhelming players. Good pacing keeps players invested. It alternates between high-intensity moments and quieter periods to let players catch their breath. Bad pacing, on the other hand, can feel monotonous or exhausting. If every fight feels the same or drags on too long, player will lose interest. So, to sum it all up, great combat is a mix of solid mechanics, satisfying feedback, and well-balanced pacing. It's not just about pressing attack. It's about creating an experience that feels rewarding every step of the way. And here's a little teaser. In future videos, I'll dive deeper into how to design action games in different genres. Whether it's a fast-paced shooter, a methodical Souls-like, or chaotic beat-em-up. Each genre has its own unique challenges and opportunities. So stay tuned for more in-depth breakdowns. And that's it for today's breakdown. If you found this useful, be sure to like, subscribe, and drop a comment about your favorite combat system in games. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Until next time, keep designing, keep creating, and I'll see you in the next video.